Hey there, I'm Todor from ROIABLE, and today we'll cover the SAP IdM migration topic related to password management. You can find that topic under number 11 within the user interface category right here, and clicking on it will take you to the dedicated slide. Password, password management evolved quite a bit in the last 10 to 15 years. Back then, it was considered that your Active Directory should be enough to handle all your authentication requests, and every self-respecting IIS should have had a way to sync to and back from AD whenever needed to stay actual on the current password of a user. SAP IDM was addressing this issue with a dedicated developed tool known by the name of Password Hook. Nowadays, in 2024, there is hardly anyone using this tool, which is anyhow out of support. With the ever-growing hybrid landscape of the customers, it's becoming more and more important to have a cloud identity provider that can manage both cloud and on-premise systems, offering single sign-on experience across the enterprise landscape. Such a service within the SAP Cloud portfolio would be the Identity Authentication Service, or shortly IIS, which is part of a bigger security domain, the SAP Identity Services. It can both handle the authentication directly or through a proxy to a third-party identity provider. Logically, one of the most important systems to handle when it comes to password management would be exactly IIS. Thankfully, this should be rather easy since there is an API that offers that functionality. But also, IPS offers transformations to sync passwords, for example, from SuccessFactors. The logical question would be, if we have SSO, why do we need passwords? I also want things to be that simple, but we are not in that year yet. Not all accounts are SSO enabled, not all systems are SSO enabled, some identities have multiple accounts in various systems, and only some of them are SSO enabled. This is the reality. On top of that, we add the technical, service, and test users who are rarely SSO enabled. Best case, they are handled through OAuth or certificate authentication, but this is rarely the reality. More often than not, things depend on the good old password. Yes, a very, very complex one, but still a password. Whenever there is a password, there is someone that should take care of it, store it, update it, monitor its usage. It's not written in stone that this should be done by your IAM system, but it would definitely be beneficial if it has this functionality in place. The major areas where SAP IDM was lacking were a clear indication of the password progress, for example, during change of the password, locked initial password, and the fact that out of the box only one password was allowed per user for all its accounts in the various target systems. This is partially inherited from the approach we explained earlier with Active Directory, being the central authentication authority. If you haven't yet switched to passwordless authentication, you might want to have an easy and intuitive interface for your end users where password management is rather a triviality than a complex task. Administrative access to this functionality is always welcome, but should be also monitored strictly since it could be a serious threat if misused. Multi-system, multi-account policies should be easily configurable and enforced whenever needed. Lastly, an on behalf of function might come in handy not only for certain high-ranking positions within the company, but also when things are burning and your last concern is to remember your last 10 passwords so you can enter the correct new one. So much about the password management topic for today. Don't forget to check our social media channels for the full release of the ROIABLE SAP IdM Migration Guidelines. Till then, retain investment, stay compliant, and embrace the cloud. See you next time.